Let's see. Yo ho ho! What's going on, guys? This is Grim Reaper bringing you guys another session of the anime battle royale. I believe this is episode 4. As you already know, the battle royale was where we took the 7 deadly sins, One Punch Man, and One Piece. We took some of their established characters, not the strongest of the characters, and neither are ones that we don't have much information about, and we put them all on one table. Now, this isn't all of them. Obviously, we couldn't put all of them. I think we only did like 4 to 3 of no, it was like 5 from each series, something like that. But we got a lot of them here, and we're actually in the finals. And the finals is broken into 5 rounds apparently for the in the final match. So before we get started on that, let's go ahead and send the link out. Make sure that you like and subscribe. Post a video on different Discords, wherever you know. Post it to your friends and stuff, so we can get it popping. All right. So let me send this link out first, and then we'll get started just like usual. I always post here in Nia Hemmings Discord as well too. Nia is my nigga and shit. Make sure you check out his channel, Nia Hemmings, for Tower of God and all kinds of different stuff that's going on here. Is that one there? All right. So let's get it started. Okay. So let's run through what we've done already before we actually get popping into it. So we got Garou versus Melzigard. Garou took that. Acceptably, he took that. Yeah. Gallon versus Metal Bat. Yeah, Gallon's gonna take that one. Even though eventually Metal Bat could actually give him a really good fight. Diane versus Delore. Diane taking that for sure now. Same series. Atomic Samurai versus Whitebeard. It's a tough one. Atomic should win that one, but Whitebeard isn't some like pushover. It's just Atomic Samurai's attack speed is incomparable. So even Kizaru, for example, he doesn't attack anywhere near as fast as Atomic does. Phoenix Man versus Garou. Phoenix. Wow. I guess Phoenix should take that without a doubt. Yeah, that makes sense. We got Child Emperor versus Rudisill. Yeah, Rudisill's taking that without a doubt. You know, Child Emperor is very powerful. You could deal some damage to him, but he would actually have to hit him, and that's the hard part. Elder Centipede versus Gallon. Oh yeah, Gallon's gonna take that one too. We don't know, the commandments are pretty strong physically, and Gallon was one of the physical leaders of the commandments. Very powerful. It would increase his speed and all kinds of shit. Zeldris versus Big Mom. Zeldris without a doubt. Overgrown Rover versus Diane. Rover takes that one, even though Diane is very, very, very powerful. Like, niggas don't realize Diane is very, very powerful. If there's anybody who could take some of the damage that Rover's been dealt out, it's gonna be Diane. But we haven't really seen her up against extreme high heat substances or attacks, beams, stuff like that. So we give it to Rover. That seems fair. Escanor versus Harley Quinn. Current King is stronger than Escanor. Then Tarmiel versus Atomic Samurai. Yeah, Tarmiel's taking that one. It's a different game. He's basically like he has a power called Ocean, and it's like whenever you have to hit him with certain attacks, or else he'll like not receive the damage, but his body will be like destroyed, but in the form of water. It'll be like just like hitting water and shit. Kind of like the One Piece thing, but a little bit more OP. He has extreme magic. It's called Arc. It's what they use, and it's like it does extra damage to demons, but it's all kinds of beams. You can do all kinds of bombs, explosions. We can make swords. It's 3 different heads that are all like capable of maneuvering and doing their own attacks at the same time. It's pretty destructive. And it's a disintegration type attack. That's what arc magic is. Flashy Flash versus Silver Fang Bang. I can't believe that we unanimously agree that Bang wins. I am impressed by the recent chapter, what Bang was able to pull out, but Flashy Flash is super fast. So I guess it's acceptable either way, but still though, man. Flashy Flash. But that goes through the first 2 rounds that we went through. Let's pop on to round 3. Hold on. I don't think anybody's in the chat. I don't have my headphones on, so if you are in the Discord trying to hop in and you gotta like DM me or some shit because I can't see it right now. All right. Here we go though. So Phoenix Man versus Rudisill. So I guess we can start this off right. So Phoenix Man, as we already know, is a monster from the Monster Association. He's a man who, after working for a TV show, whose character died every single episode through the stupid shit. He got treated so badly in the actual real world, him working there, that he didn't want to take the suit off. He couldn't take the suit off. So he transformed into Phoenix Man. And the particular trait about him, as you already know, is that whenever you kill Phoenix Man, he comes back an entire multitude stronger. I wouldn't say an entire disaster level, but there's a clear difference between his abilities in his demon form, in his first resurrection, and then in a consequential resurrection after that. So his power also increases. The particular aspect about his power, though, is that he can't be defeated unless you remove the suit. So he's been killed in several different kind of manners: excessive trauma, excessive heat through a heat blast that reached a high atmosphere. He's been cut up, all different kinds of manners of killing him, and none of them have worked. They've all achieved nothing but making him stronger. So Child Emperor was able to defeat him by having him remove his own suit. He put a little robot tickle bug inside of his suit to the top slip, and then he basically was tortured with laughter until he ripped his own suit off trying to get it out. So that's basically it. That's the only way to really kill him. Cutting doesn't work. As we mentioned, like Atomic Samurai wouldn't have the easiest time against Phoenix Man either, even though he does cut immensely. Cutting and ripping aren't the same thing. Rudisill, on the other hand, Rudisill is the strongest of the Archangels. Now, if you watch Seven Deadly Sins, or if you've heard of it, you may have, and if you're an anime only, you've been introduced to the Ten Commandments. Those are the main villains that work for the Demon King. Well, the opposition is four of them, four Archangels that work for the Supreme Deity. And they all have a power given to them, just like the Commandments have a power given to them. There's 10 of them. The angels have four graces, and they all have different properties. One is flash, one is ocean, one is tornado, and one is sunshine. Rudisill has flash. That property or that grace allows him to have movement and different types of techniques and speed at the speed of light, and that's been confirmed there. And it also utilizes extreme heat, similar to sunshine, which also uses extreme heat, but to a lesser degree. You'll definitely find more heat in Mael or in Escanor's Sunshine than in Rudisill's Flash attack. But it's still very, very potent. And him being one of the oldest combatants, or one of the most experienced combatants, and a huge leader, he has a large variety of techniques, magic based and non-magic based. So he's pretty freaking tough. Now, he is known for having certain schemes, certain plans, setting it up every once in a while, but it's nowhere. He doesn't have the intelligence level of Child Emperor, nowhere near that point, and that's going to be the huge pivoting point in this battle. Rudisill has the ability to create beams, like fiery attack beams from like several kilometers away. He actually attacked Zeldris, another one of the combatants in a tournament like that, in their initial bout, and actually hit him. So he's very potent in attack power. I would even say that for sure, he can do a lot more damage than what Phoenix Man could do. Their durability in terms seem to be on a similar level. Rudisill is actually a huge tank. He took several attacks from one of the other 10 Commandments called Daddy Eddie. She was on the list previously, but I guess she was defeated earlier on. But her power is that the more attacks that she does consecutively in a combo, the more pounds of force are added to the next attack. So if she attacks you once, it's 10,000 pounds. Twice, another 10,000 pounds. So on and so on and so on continuously. So he took after I think it was like a 3-4 hit combo, he took that like pretty much nothing. And that's pretty big. Now, the highest person that's taken a combo like that is Tarmiel, another person that's still on the list. He took 54 hits from Daddy Eddie. So you can assume 54 times 10, and that's how many pounds of force was applied to him. But because of how his power works, he's just tanked it like a sandwich. Rudisill, on the other hand, doesn't have the same capabilities with his grace. He can't tank attacks to that same degree, and we shouldn't even call it tanking for Tarmiel because it's how his grace works. So he does have that disadvantage. Phoenix Man should be able to land some hits. Maybe his fiery one could hit him. Those talon strikes, the homing feathers, the different things that could possibly hit him. But on the other hand, Rudisill has immense speed. Zeldris, another one of the candidates that's still on the list in the tournament, actually tried to speed blitz him from behind, and he got counterattacked. It's kind of like uh, it's not too crazy to think about, but when it happened in the chapter, it did seem kind of crazy because Zeldris is pretty fast. So he speed blitzed him from behind, and then Brutus ended up speed blitzing Zeldris in his attempt. He actually caught him while he was still coming at him, and then hit him with an attack called Gold Shining, which was extreme heat and a beam. So his offensive capabilities, his reactive skills are pretty high up there. Phoenix Man has immense physical strength, and it's going to be a lot higher than Rudisell's physical strength in his prime. Now, I am assuming that Rudisell is going to kill him once, maybe even twice, before anything unravels or he starts to see that things are weird. But after that point, it's going to be pretty difficult to do anything up against Phoenix Man. Now, that doesn't mean he's out of the count. Phoenix Man has to die at least 2 times to be on par, to be somewhat on par with Rudisell. That's a guaranteed, has to be a fact. His Prominence form and his Phoenix Falcon form are 2 variants that he can go into at any time period, but I wouldn't necessarily say that they're like comparable to Rudisell. His speed in the Falcon form isn't at the same speed as Rudisell. He's much faster than that. Rudisell's much faster than that. The homing feathers, they can change direction, but Rudisell has experienced attacks that do that before, I believe. What else is there? His physical strength now. All right, so Rudisell also has the accolade of being the fastest swordsman in Seven Deadly Sins, with having the feat of being able to move or his swordsmanship at the speed of light. He's only been competed against by 2 to 3 people, one of which was Escanor, another one was Cusack, and another one was Zeldris. Zeldris is actually known for having his fastest swordsmanship in the Demon Realm, and we got a face-to-face comparison amongst the two to see who was the fastest in the series, and Rudisell actually dealt 2 slices of damage, while Zeldris only dealt 1 slice of damage to him. Now that sounds like kind of minuscule in comparison to like other big ass feats and stuff, but how do I put this? This isn't like One Piece where a character is given a title like the strongest swordsman and Oda writes it to where nobody can like achieve to that point. In this series, you test that. It's like in every other swordsman series, which kind of makes it weird for One Piece, and I've always resented Oda for that, for not giving Mihawk the shine that he deserves to actually prove that he's a stronger swordsman. He just gives people stuff, and then it's that way. So we got the fight for them, and then Rudisell got the hits over Zeldris. So that's gonna put his swordsmanship above Phoenix Man's ability to defend himself. Now, the reason why I mentioned Escanor is because Escanor didn't have a weapon at the time period that he actually went up against Rudisell. And neither of them were serious, and neither of them were using their full capabilities. But to see Escanor be able to compete with Rudisell and his blades, swordsmanship, was kind of impressive. Now, granted, at the end of the exchange between Escanor and Rudisell, Escanor, all of his clothes were ripped up. All of his clothes were ripped up, falling off, because of how many times Rudisell had consecutively hit him while Escanor was attempting to block. So we know that even a guy as fast as Escanor can't compete with his swordsmanship. At the end of the day, though, like I said before, this all pivots on the fact of whether Rudisell can rip off the suit from Phoenix Man. Now, I don't think it's too far-fetched to entertain a belief that where you could find a different way to remove the suit, or like maybe you could put some some lubricant underneath his suit and shit to have him like fucking swipe off that shit. But at the same time, we haven't seen that done in canon for One Punch Man. So for the time being, you can only defeat Phoenix Man by removing the suit, and it has to be ripped off apparently. I don't believe Rudisell can do that. Now, I am getting into a paradox where if nobody knows that you have to do that, does that make Phoenix Man the strongest? And technically, if we're being outright honest, it does start leading to that portion. Now, this isn't like Zombie Man where we assume that he can be cut into mincemeat and then defeated because it was mentioned that way. And it may not be the case anymore. This guy was shown to deal with all different kinds of damage, which is why I'd like to support and give more yeah, that's about it. I'd like to give more support to Phoenix Man not being able to be defeated until you remove the suit, because that's the actuality of what it was. We didn't face Child Emperor for no reason. we didn't see the Millennium Emperor Nova break through several, I want to say hundreds of floors underneath the subterranean base, crack through the surface, eviscerate, disrupt, chaotically like destroy half of the town or a portion of the town above where the blast was coming from, and then have it go into high orbit. That was drawn that way for a reason, to show us the catastrophic impact, the catastrophic power that Child Emperor and Brave Giant could produce, and Phoenix Man tanked half of it. When I say tanked, if I don't know if you guys follow it from One Punch Man, but he also has the ability to absorb energy attacks. So that kind of puts Rusev at even more of a disadvantage. So he absorbed half of the Millennium Emperor Nova, and then the other half is what burned him and left him all in a crispy husk. But he was still able to keep on and do just as well as he did before. That being said, the other argument to be entertained is when and how was Phoenix Man gonna hit Rudesil? Let's make this straight. The people that have been attacking Rudesil have not been at the speed of light. So and I need you guys to remember this is for all anime's cases. Whenever somebody's given a feat like that, it has to be looked at verbatim, because an accolade of the sort can't be compared to other things. We don't know how fast somebody moving at the speed of light is. So to have other people who aren't doing that, who don't have that speed, and they're still fighting with them, that makes us understand more things. I'll take Kizaru from One Piece for the example. 1 second, I gotta get this dog. Alright, facts. Caught that nigga, bro. Overgrown Rover out there tripping and shit. Alright, but like I was saying about Kizaru may have the accolades of moving at the speed of light, but his actual kicking and his slicing and him moving his arms around and the speed at which he shoots his lasers and stuff like that, they are not at the speed of light. They aren't doing that. He himself is not doing that. It's only certain portions of his attacks that are actually getting that feat. So once again, if you are not at the speed of light and you're fighting somebody who is, and you're being successful, that shows us the weaknesses of that technique, of that capability. So I'm not gonna push a narrative to where Phoenix Man can't touch Rudesil because he's not moving at the speed of light, because that isn't the case. That we saw that he punched Rudesil and slammed him down hard as fuck, taking out half the forest and shit whenever she did that. So we're gonna give Phoenix Man's improved speed the ability to maneuver around and actually catch Rudesil once or twice. He actually does use those tactics and shit. He actually moves around and shit with speed blitzing Child Emperor like nothing in his Falcon form. So I'm assuming that his prominence and brilliance could also do that. And then as I already mentioned, it took Child Emperor a full powered giant fist strike to bust through several more 50 to 100 floors downward of the subterranean base to fuck over Phoenix Man. And the impact of the punch and all the things that he was running into killed him for that occasion. He caught it before that, though. The giant fist strike was a regular attack that he caught with his hands. It was a struggle, but he caught it and it was about to melt through the fist because of the heat that he can transfer. So we're talking about Rudesil hitting Phoenix Man 2, 3, 4 times with high-ass energy beams. He's going to absorb that shit. He's going to have a lot of fucking heat to distribute around his body to throw out in his gust attacks and to hit you with, punch you with if he really needs to, because he did it. And that's kind of putting Rudesil at a disadvantage in that position. On the other hand, as an Archangel, and with using the power of Arc, as I told you guys with the magic, it also has the ability to heal. All 4 of the Archangels have self-healing, and it's how do I put this? It's autonomous. They don't have to focus to heal themselves. It just happens over time. Now, they do have to focus to heal other individuals, and it does use a certain amount of magic to heal other individuals. And I'm assuming that it also uses a certain amount of magic to heal themselves. And catastrophic injuries sometimes can't be healed. So accumulative consecutive damage can indeed affect and pile up on an Archangel. So if you're sitting there, hit them with a 55 hit combo or whatever, and they only dodge half of them, they took 25 hits. They took 25 hits. They can heal that, but it's going to take a little bit longer than what you normally think, especially if it's a stronger opponent. Fuck, man, I don't even know who to give it to right now. Right now, I'm still on the side a Phoenix Man, but let's give it a quick vote. Let's do the 1 minute vote. Let's see what y'all boys are thinking right now. All right. Now we up on that shit. Let me roll up the blunt and shit. And we spied a bit of. By the way, guys, if you guys are One Punch Man fans, this afternoon we'll be recording the One Punch Man podcast, and it should be edited and uploaded tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow night. So stay tuned for that. Amazing chapter for 108. If you're a Seven Deadly Sins fan, the raws for the for chapter 212, I believe, have already been dropped this morning. So we should be expecting the translation to drop out tomorrow morning, maybe even tonight. If the chapter is like epic and people really want to get on it early, we'll probably get a translator to drop it early or whatever. But it's gonna be a great chapter for both of them. The next one. All right. All right. I guess let me just end this up real quick then, because I don't think we have that many people here to do the 1 minute vote. Rudice is at the top of the Seven Deadly Sins verse. So the reason why I'm conflicted is because the accolades and feats that he has in Seven Deadly Sins are much higher than what Phoenix Man has been able to achieve. But the hacks and the capabilities that Phoenix Man has shown in the scenario that he's been, even though they've been less destructive, work just the same in any series. So I kind of feel scared that if we give this to Phoenix Man, he might have to take the tournament. But at the same time, this was also the problem with Zeldris and Rudisill whenever we were speaking before. That Zeldris and Rudisill are technically the strongest motherfuckers here. Technically. But it's because I'm still running through my head like if we do it, if we use it, if we entertain it, we're talking about Phoenix Man dying like four to 6 more times, and then he'll have the speed, the power, the everything to fuck over Rudisill. Rudisill's swordsmanship, his speed of attacks, his usage of arc magic are very, very powerful. But at the same time, up against super high difficulty opponents, we have noticed that magic usage can be a thing. I don't want to say that, I don't want to use King for this example, but people have run out of magic when fighting up against high difficulty opponents because of the, how much magic you have to use to resist against their attacks, to deliver effective attacks against them, all the positioning that you have to do, all the mental stress that is required. And these are all assumed things that these two different mangas put more emphasis on than the other ones. We see a lot. Both series we see damage effects, but we don't necessarily see energy effects or tiresome effects from these people in the series. So, fuck, man. I don't know. And the other thing too is that as by not having this power, Rudisill's power level or strength is at a set level. So, I'm not sure, man. What's going on, Chubb? What's going on, Toa? What's going on, Suzuki? Shout out. What's going on, Marley K? What's going on, Bushido Brown? What's going on, Joshua Neck? What's up, guys? Grim likes 13 people beings. Yeah, it's gay, bro. Man, this is like super hard, man. And at the same time, we're also entertaining an argument of whether, like, no, it has to be that way. I'm gonna give this one to Phoenix Man over Rudisill. It's strictly because this would turn out into a battle of attrition, and unfortunately, his power is set to work that way. And I have no reason to believe that Rudisill would be able to intuitively figure out the aspects of his power. It was Phoenix Man himself who, through certain hints and with the assistance of Waganma mentioning the character's origins, that Child Emperor was able to piece together the required information to remove the suit. So, because that won't be the case, Phoenix fans taking this one over Rudisil. All right. Up next, we have Zeldris versus Galland. That's pretty much set already. He's the stronger of the two confirmed in the series. I'm gonna give that to him. And now we have Overgrown Rover versus Harlequin, bro. Yo, it's oh, oh my. Okay, so the reason why this is difficult is not because of what you think. Rover doesn't have speed or the speed on the same par as King. They are. Let me not say that. When you only make the speed the actual the main part of the argument, because they are somewhat comparable. But King is much faster. Um, King has at least 11, and I believe it's 12 to 13, but 11 different configurations or manners in which to kill and fight. One of them is luminosity, which isn't really necessarily used for that. Aside from that, he can create a huge bear pillar-like object that is immune to physical trauma. Um, it is susceptible to ice and chilling, but most other effects don't work necessarily that well upon it. Um, he has a lance that it's the one that you primarily see when it's in small form, but when amplified, it becomes much larger, and that is able to produce I want to say nuke-like effects on every explosion, as we saw from his predecessor Gloxinia, and he himself producing that attack when he took out an Albion. Um, about half a town, maybe like large multi-city block level. It's about half a town. He can take out one or two mountains with it. We've seen that whenever he throws it up against Albions. We saw when Gloxinia was throwing them up against Meliodas. He was blowing up huge portions. Um, he has the ability to petrify you if he stabs you. He has the ability to protect himself inside of a huge ball-like substance called a pollen garden. So he calls it. But it's a circle that heals you while you're inside of it, and also defends from exterior attacks. Um, he also has the ability to bring up a huge flower that can shoot high heat energy beams from it. Um, there's a few more variants that he also has, like he has an armor, the ability to change the spear into a suit of armor, and that suit of armor it increases his speed and his physical attacks. Um, what's going on, bro? I don't know how to read your name, man. I don't read Arabic or whatever that language is right there. It says, "Hey, Escanor is stronger than King." Uh, I don't know about that anymore, man. King got a power up. He's looking pretty strong. Um, but the main part about Rover is that he just took arguably one of the strongest attacks we've seen in Seven Deadly Sins, and with that attack, he was knocked out for less than 3 chapters, and he got right back up. What's going on, Leo Messi? What's up, bro? And with the information that we got in the chapter, it seems like it all happened in like one go. Like like Saitama punched did it that thing to fucking to Rover, and then we had the huge explosion. Everybody heard it, and then it seems like from the context that that's the reason as to why Orochi approached Saitama. And from what we literally just saw in this chapter 108, Rover woke up right behind Saitama. He turned around and looked at him. So I think they're within the same vicinity. This may have happened in the same time period. So Rover just got up after taking that huge ass hit from Saitama in a very short time period. It's I think Rover may have one of the largest fucking tanking feats in the series of One Punch Man. What's going on, Leo Mushi? That name says "I love you, Grammy Poo." Oh, you gay? You gay? Um, he also had Rover is also he's a dog form, a dog monster, and he also has the ability to attack with like volleys of high explosive energy heat attacks. So he'll throw off either a circle, and he can do beams too. And they're doing like multi-city block damage like easily, just every single one. He actually created an entire cavern, a chasm, just by blowing the shit apart, chasing after Garo, one of the mainstays in One Punch Man. Um, extreme power with that. That being said, King is also a tank. King is not only taking attacks, direct attacks from like an Albion level character, other characters bashing on him. Um, Let me see, what other physical attacks is he taking? Literal assaults from Mael, who held four commandments at the actual time period. He got hit with an arrow of salvation, which is an arc magical attack that whenever it pierces an opponent, it amplifies the pain of what it would be. So if the arrow of light was actually just a needle and it pricked you in the finger, that pain would feel like you broke your entire arm. That's how catastrophic the pain from that is, and it's in particular, it kills in particular demons. So it does that. It works in particular for like I mentioned for demons. But as we mentioned, King is a fairy, not a demon, so that effect didn't like do anything special to him. It just created more pain than usual. He also got hit by one of the Demon King's little like palm throws that was able to destroy the perfect cube, which is known for having extreme durability feats and 7 deadly sins, and he's able to take that hit. He's also taken a few more things in series. King has gotten his ass beaten pretty badly a few times, and he's able to hold out a lot. So the durability, even though there's a difference, even though I would put Rover's durability at a A, King's durability is at a low A. That being said, King has the ability to fly. He also has the ability to manifest those configurations that I mentioned simultaneously. So he could have that big bear out in its bulky form fighting, while he has a large spear out fighting. I also didn't mention this, but he has the ability to turn his configuration or his spear into also like several hundreds of daggers, and those daggers increase in size whenever he powers up into his adult form. Because that's what we're talking about, the amplified adult form of King. So he has the ability to bring out hundreds of daggers that are very, very powerful, potent, that are more like the size of like swords now, like not an axe, but like huge. Yeah, maybe like a axe, something like that. In comparison to its size now, maybe even a little bit bigger than that. And he's able to spam them and control them simultaneously with all different things. So we're talking about having a huge giant bear out, a large amount of hundreds of daggers out, a huge spear that's probably like the size of like a skyscraper, pretty much, yeah, like a skyscraper. Maybe not a huge skyscraper, maybe like a 25 stories, something like that. But it's a pretty huge spear. And he can manipulate that like nothing. And then he has a circle around him at the same time too. Like all these things would be working in tandem. Now the problem is that we saw in particular for King that the farther the opponent is away, and the more of the manifestations of his power that he has at the same time out working, the more his magic is drained. They're like, it's just like plugging in more things to an outlet. Your electricity consumption is going to be more. It's the exact same concept for King. So having that Rover's an aggressive type, he uses instincts, not sentience, to fight. He's going to be right there. He was chasing after Garo the entire time that they were fighting. Granted, that was because Garo was running away, but even when Garo attacked him, Rover didn't like push back or drop back to gain distance or space whenever he got hit. He shook it off and attacked point blank, did his thing. So I'm assuming that this is all going to be super close quarters, aside from King actually going up in the air and fighting far away from him. He's more of a medium range fighter. If we were to go to long range, medium range, and up close, up close being like hand to hand, sword to sword, whatever it might be. Medium range being like, as King is, or a long range. He is in between that long to medium range. He can fight you from far away. He can throw his slants several kilometers away, just like Gloxinia has before. Like I said, he doesn't have to be looking at you directly. The other portion that he has the ability to read your mind. This isn't going to be effective whatsoever in this fight, I don't believe, because Rover isn't sentient. He's not going to be thinking about the move that he's going to do next. But let me just leave that alone, because I could flip it in a different way, but I don't think that would be a lot more headcanon in fact. So let's push that aside. Let's see what Chubb's saying here. King can take a good beating, but Rover is a tank. It basically comes down to, can Rover overwhelm King's defense with energy balls before King can damage him? Ooh, that's a good way to look at it. The reason why I'm holding off though is because I know for a fact King is going to be able to hold out. He's taking attacks that are as potent, if not a little bit more potent, than what he was able to produce, than what Rover was able to produce. So I'm also not saying that King can take like an entire volley. I just that he did inside the cavern to Garo. I don't think King can take all that damage and still be cool. Maybe like 5 to 4 of those hits would put King in a pretty bad condition. Would put anybody in a pretty bad condition aside from Saitama or whatever. And Garo actually put his life on the line to make sure that he would only take like 1 or 2 of those at max, and that's what he actually did. A tank as big as Garo. Now, I'm not saying that Garo and King's durability are on the same level. I think King is much more durable than Garo at that time period. But Garo's feats of durability have been pretty freaking impressive. And the individuals who he's fought and the damage who he's taken and been all right, and then absorbed the fight back, it's been pretty badass. We shouldn't talk too much about Garo though, because in that same mindset, he did attain the power of fighting spirit, which is a power that lets you like increase in strength and stuff the more damage you take. So there's a little bit more to talk about when it comes to Garo's durability. So to bring this straight down to it, how many attacks or how much damage can King do to Rover before Rover like gets in really really close or gets that damage out to hit him? I'm not under the belief that Rover cannot hit King. He's very, very, King is very, very evasive, has a lot of defenses, and he's very, very intuitive battle-wise. From the beginning, before he even joined the Seven Deadly Sins, he was a battle expert, protecting his people. And then throughout his entire time period as a knight for Leonis, his battle prowess has increased dramatically. Even in the beginning of the series, when he was in his small form and he wasn't as powerful and potency-wise, his attacks didn't do as much, he was still a battle genius, very, very intelligent, able to fight multiple opponents at the same time, and capable. So if anybody could figure out a way to beat Rover, it would be King, especially somebody who has all the entire arsenal of that. So I think I'm going to entertain the argument that King beats Rover for right now. Let's see. Let me see what anybody else is saying. Rover have a high temperature attacks. That's what's making him so dangerous in a close range fight. Hell yeah, bro. That's exactly what it. That the heat of his attacks and the destruction his attacks cause are super super dangerous for anybody. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to give this one to King over Rover. Scenario I guess would be like Rover just like hits him with a point blank, not a point blank, but like starts off the fight with like a huge energy blast at him, and then King doesn't even move, he just pulls on a pollen garden or whatever, and then the smoke dissipates. Rover sees that he's not down, then he starts the barrage. So it was like 15 at him at the same time. King, I don't believe the pollen guard should be able to take all that. Let's assume that it can, but King wouldn't risk it because he himself hasn't used pollen guard to that extent. So we're gonna see him flying around, dodging a bunch of those volleys, kind of like how Goro did up against the fight with Rover. But at the same time, while he's doing that, there's gonna be daggers from Increase coming at Rover, and that's gonna disable the fight. Up against Goro wasn't able to counterattack until one specific time in the fight. But with King, that's not going to be the case. He has the ability to. He's technically jumping Rover, which makes it a little bit more of a disadvantage for Rover. So he's gonna have the big ass bear out sitting there going hand to hand with Rover and shit like that. And then the dagger is gonna be flying everywhere as Rover's attacking and blowing them apart. And then when he jumps down to avoid some of the daggers and stuff like that, he's gonna see the big ass lance hit him right in the chest, and it's gonna blow up, cause a huge ass chasm and stuff like that. I can see Rover being in the rubble and then popping right out, flexing his shit, shaking it off like a good boy. And he's gonna come at King again. King's gonna see that, and he's super powerful. Bring up the sunflower, and then with a big ass beam in the face. But Rover isn't stupid. He's a battle instinct monster. He's going to throw another beam at it. And I can see them clashing. I can actually see them, going on, doing a little struggle for a bit. But I don't think Robo would like hold it the whole time. I think Robo would just like see that the both the beams are powerful, let them disengage, and so would King. Remember, King in particular has to maintain his magical reserves, and having to use multiple spears or multiple manifestations to fight a guy like Rover is going to drain him quickly. So we're talking about King trying to find a position to where he can annihilate Rover very, very quickly with high power attacks. Because at the same time, Rover's a fucking tank, man. I don't believe that Rover could have dodged the punch that Garo did on him on the head, but because he snuck up on him from above. But at the same time, like I also don't think Rover's slow. Rover could dodge a lot of the shit that we're talking about up against what Garo did and up against what King is doing right now. So we're talking about half of the daggers from Increase hitting him and bouncing off of him too because he's tough. Not anything's just gonna pierce through his skin or hurt him or like that. But that huge first form lance, chastity fold, that is indeed gonna hurt Rover, especially with the explosion that's gonna come with it. Um, let's assume that he is able to stab him one time though in the leg without blowing it up. Then we have the petrification effect. So let's assume that Rover gets one of his legs petrified, and because of his quote unquote tough strength, which I don't remember exactly how Bond was able to deal with the petrification in his series. I think somebody else assisted him with, but let's say he's able to break it off, right? Where it's not all serious. Then we're seeing Rover come after King again, and that's when it turns into a little bit more of a battle of attrition. At the end of the day, though, I'm hinging this entire argument on the fact that King has several manifestations to assault Rover with continuously, and his ability to dodge Rover's volleys, as Garou was able to do, is going to be sufficient to avoid a lot of the attacks and to not take as much damage as quickly. So I'm going to give this one to King Harlequin over Rover. Yeah. Same thing, bro. Chubb says that he would say King wins this, but it would be a very close fight. And yeah, I forgot about Harlequin can be drained. Yep. That's gonna be the main way that you can beat Harlequin. He's a super tough guy. He can go head up with almost any person in the series at the moment. He went up with Zeldris in one of his tour in the Big Six fight. From what we saw from Escanor and what we know and see from Escanor's gonna have a huge difficulty dealing with King at this distance and with the manifestations that he could deal with. And King actually was able to teach. King is so proficient in his battle capabilities that he actually taught Meliodas one of the techniques that he used to beat the Demon King. It's called Meliodas dubbed the technique Trillion Dark, where he manifested the darkness inside of him, the magic inside of him. He turns it into a ball, a very, very tightly condensed ball. The more things you put into a small space, the heavier things going to be. So that's the exact same thing he did. He packed it full of magical energy, super, super small, so it's going to be powerful. And then he's able to sling that long as fuck, hard as fuck, fast as fuck, and that's how he was able to defeat the Demon King. So and King was actually the one who taught him that by removing the moisture from inside of a stick that Meliodas was using to fight and turning that into a bead of water that he attacked Meliodas with. So I didn't really go into this because I don't want to overwhelm the audience, but King's magical power is actually called Disaster, and it gives him control over life and death, as described in the series. So he can make plants grow. He can. He has a technique called status promotion. So let's say you were to cut your finger right with a paper cut. He can make that paper cut into a huge gash. Let's say that you have arthritis, right, because you're so old. He can make your bones start to crackle and shake because of that disease. Let's say that you're coughing because you have pneumonia or something like that. He can fill your lungs with the water that's already there and have you choke. Those are the types of abilities that he has with his magical disaster. Now, the only scenario that I can see that coming into play to help King in this fight with is gonna be after he cuts Rover one time, he can make that cut a lot worse. But besides that, it's gonna be just barrages of attacks from both sides, and he should be able to come out on top. So we're gonna give this one to King over Rover, even though it's gonna be a tough fight, just like Chubb mentioned. What the fuck is in Snap Mod? Hold up. There we go. Your mod status Snap. My bad. Sorry about that, sir. Mr. Snapback Pirate, sir. I apologize for that. All right. Here we go. So the next match that we have is Tarmiel versus Silver Fang Bang. Tarmiel's an archangel. As we already mentioned, the power of ocean. So his body is kind of like water. We're gonna need particular attacks to actually deal damage to him. If Daddy 80 was able to do a 54 plus hit combo on Tarmiel and nothing occurred to him, then the Water Stream Rock Smashing Fist doesn't have hope whatsoever to dealing with him. So we're going to quickly get this one to Tarmiel over Silver Fang Bang. All right. Now we get to the semifinals. We are going to end the tournament today, though. We'll probably start a new one next week or something like that. But we are going to end this one today. Remember to stay tuned for the One Punch Man tournament. We're not doing this for every single one of the series, but in particular for One Punch Man, we are doing it. So what we did first was was a demon one. We took all the demons inside of One Punch Man, and we put them all together in one tournament. And then we used that same bracketing for the tournament to take the 20 of the guys that we thought did the best. Maybe not the winners, but the actual guys who showed the most and who theoretically in our minds are the best, and we put them in the top 20 One Punch Man video list. So that's what this tournament, or that's what we also did for the Dragons. We're doing that for the Dragons and the Heroes currently. So if you guys, whenever you're missing the One Punch Man podcast, or whenever it's been like 2 to 3 weeks without a chapter, make sure you stay tuned and watch and look out for the One Punch Man tournament, because that's what we do in between to make sure we get our rankings right, rankings cool, and just figure out information and fights. But let's get back into it. The next matchup we have is Phoenix Man versus Zeldris. All right. This one's going to be as tough as the previous one with Phoenix Man versus Rudisell, because Zeldris and Rudisell are pretty much equal fighters in what we see. Now, the main difference between Zeldris and like most of the people in the series of Seven Deadly Sins is that he has one particular broken technique. Now, I am downplaying him when I say that, because he also has more powers that are broken in the series of Seven Deadly Sins. There's something called the power of God. And this ability allows him to seal different types of magical individuals' power, seal magic, and it allows him to absorb any kind of magical attack that comes at him. Now, in this tournament, because magic is energy-based, we were having that same equivalent, but there aren't any other series that have, like One Piece doesn't have magic like that, or any type of power source that's based on energy, so we can't equivalent that. And One Punch Man, it doesn't have magic or any supernatural source like chakra, for example, that's based on energy, so they're not going to be equivalent. So the power of God isn't going to play the biggest role in this fight that Zeldris is going to have up against Phoenix Man. As we mentioned before, Zeldris has the ability, has titles of the fastest swordsmanship in the underworld. Now that makes him about the second to third fastest in all of Seven Deadly Sins in terms of swordsmanship. It's still super high up there, super impressive. He's a huge tank. When I say tank, we're talking about on rover levels of tank. Zeldris took as I mentioned before, Rudisell has the ability to attack you from several kilometers away, and they're huge energy beam attacks, right? So Zeldris was on the receiving end of one of these. It was about half a city's worth, maybe super multi-block level area, decimated Zeldris. But because of his power, he was able to tank it like nothing. Now, this is still speculation for Seven Deadly Sins readers, but we don't know why Zeldris wasn't able to absorb the attack using his power of God, as I previously mentioned just now. But we're assuming that it's because he was surprised and he didn't see the attack, which is giving him even more accolades to Rudisell's attack speed. But he was able to tank it, and that's nothing but a feat for Zeldris. Zeldris also in one of the recent chapters took I believe it was called a Holy Lance attack from Escanor in his most powerful form. Now, if you know about the Seven Deadly Sins, you know that Escanor is one of the hypest characters. If you're an anime-only watcher, that character that was showed up in Season 2, he's back. He does a lot more stuff, and he's super potent. So he hits him in his strongest form, in his 1-minute form. He stabs him in the chest with the lance. He actually uses his finger because his weapon, the Divine Axe Rita, was getting chipped fighting Zeldris' power, which we'll elaborate upon in a second. He stabbed him in the stomach, tore into him. Straight tore into him. We saw a crevice inside of Zeldris' chest, and he went flying. And then he got stabbed, not necessarily stabbed through, but he got smashed with another attack from Rudisell consecutively. Literally seconds after that stabbing in the chest, called Gold Shining, which did a lot of damage to him as well. You know what he did after that? Got right back up. Right back up. Now, it wasn't immediate. Let me not play to you like that. He didn't immediately get back up, but he did get up with enough time to help his comrades in the fight up against the Seven Deadly Sins. He actually used his speed, even though in that extremely fucked up state, to speed blitz all around their cavern and attack these invisible magical balls of lightning and wind that were affecting his comrades. He blew them all up by running through them with his magic power of God and by using his blade to slice through them. So his ability to fight in an extremely debilitated state is huge. He even climbed right back up after that, after all that damage that he took from that and previous points, and fought one of the strongest characters in the series, Mael, who's about a little bit stronger than Rudisell, one of the guys we previously mentioned, but that's strictly because of how his magical grace works. He can produce a lot of high heat, and it does a lot of destructive capabilities. So he fought him head on, and it was for a while he fought him head on. And he did amazingly. Zeldris actually took on the majority of the Seven Deadly Sins at the same time. It wasn't the sins, we should just technically call them Stigma, because it was Escanor, Merlin, Gilthunder, Hendrickson, and Rudisell, who showed up to fight Zeldris at the same time. But regardless, that group is arguably as strong as any other group that there is. So to see him deal with them with his magical power, secret technique, which I'll elaborate on in a second, was badass to see. He's very intuitive. What else does he have? That's about it. So let's get to his secret power. So Zeldris has the ability called Ominous Nebula. So what he does is that, just like Meliodas is able to control the magic, dark, evil, demonic power inside of him, Zeldris can do the same exact thing. But instead of keeping it inside and bring it out into a ball, he manifests it in these form of like slashes or like just little corporeal lengths of darkness. He physically extrudes his magic from himself and then he spins it in a hemisphere type shape. So he spins it, right? He spins it around himself. And if you've ever spun like whatever you're spinning, it doesn't really matter. Those little toys that have like a tops and you can move them around and they spin, whatever it is. He spun it like that, like a slingshot. And his capability with it is so powerful, so great, that he's able to spin it faster than the speed of light. Now, that seems crazy because we don't know anything about the speed of light itself. So how could you go faster than the speed of light? Well, that's what the feat that they gave to us. And the effects of that were extreme gravitational attraction, as well as an almost impenetrable defense. So, to explain to you clearly, Zeldris, his power Ominous Nebula, creates a shield of invisible dark magic that attracts in the living things around him and also stops things from entering within his range. Kind of like a force field, a shield. Literally what it is, a shield of darkness that's invisible. So you can't see what's going on. You can't see what's really the case. And that's going to be the biggest problem for Phoenix Man in this scenario. That's why I had to mention it like that, because the individuals in the fight had to figure out what was going on with Zeldris' power called Ominous Nebula in order to defeat him. The other portion of the fight, as we already talked about, is Phoenix Man's invincibility. Now, sealing him, can't seal him because he doesn't have magic. We haven't seen him seal non-magical individuals. He also has a lightning attack called Dis Ide that he drops from the skies. Just another physical attack, high heat energy. Swordsmanship for cutting, just like Atomic Samurai, or like these other guys like Chad Emperor did with his blades that he had on his back from his backpack and stuff like that. We don't really have a way in particular for Zeldris to do that. As I mentioned before, you have to be intuitive to defeat Phoenix Man, and we haven't seen anything from Zeldris that intuitively had him figure out a power. Merlin, for example, if Merlin was still in the tournament or if Merlin was in the tournament, she could. She literally figured out his power that was invisible to sight, that was hidden on purpose, and that Nakaba, the author for Seven Deadly Sins, made it difficult to understand on purpose in the beginning. We had to get it explained after a while. So I don't think Phoenix Man is figuring out Ominous Nebula for quite a while in the fight. Now, that's not to say that it's impossible. The characteristics of the attack are pretty obvious once you look at it during a reread. And I am talking in hindsight, but during a reread, you do see the principles of the technique displayed pretty visibly and pretty clearly. For example, there was a rock that fell on top of on Zeldris while he had this Ominous Nebula shield out. And the first one, the biggest one, the large rock, it was destroyed because of the power. It's like a constant, it's like a fan. If you look at the blades of a fan, you drop, like some food in there, it'll get cut up. It's literally what it was. So, the rock fell on top of Zeldris, and the fan of his Ominous Nebula started cutting up the rock, cutting up the rock, cutting up the rock. And that's what showed Merlin what his power was. So after a while, because unlike other characters, Phoenix Man is known for his intelligence. In a series of One Punch Man, Phoenix Man was introduced actually for his his scouting capabilities, his ability to recruit individuals, and his intelligence. And we actually mentioned that the smarter that you are, several times we mentioned, not only Flashy Flash, but from other people, that the smarter that you are, the more capable that your transformation is as a monster. So Phoenix Man not only being able to sense radio signals that were being sent out to the association about his battle stats, battle information, it gives us more insight into him figuring shit out. So I'm basically using that to prove that in about, let's say, 5 deaths, 6 deaths, 7 deaths, around the same deaths that Rudisil would cause for Phoenix Man, that's how long it would take Phoenix Man to figure out what Ominous Nebula does. Now, here's the part where it becomes a double-edged sword for Zeldris, right? Assuming that this fight starts off normally, the Zeldris not knowing this guy's power level, having him in this Dobie Bird state, kills him like nothing, right? Zeldris himself mentioned in the quote that he doesn't go easy up against opponents just because they're super weak or super strong. He goes full power whenever he needs to. So he goes in there, cuts the fuck out of Phoenix Man, cuts his head off because of his incredible swordsmanship, right? Cuts his head off, the Phoenix head falls down, and then he turns around. Shining light, Phoenix Man is back up in his Phoenix Man resurrected form, right? They start flying around, combating. Zelda sees the amplified power of this guy. He has amplified speed, power. His awareness is also very, very high. I didn't mention this earlier, but in his resurrected forms, Phoenix Man has these different eyes that manifest all over his body, and they actually can work and sense things out independently. So he can be fighting somebody and then be looking behind him at the same time and have full attention on them. So Zelda's just gonna notice these things and go in a little bit, put in a little bit more work. I'm not saying that he would use Ominous Nebula off the bat in the resurrected form, but once he sees Phoenix prominence that absorbs his lightning attack, these absorbs it and it gets stronger because of it. And once he realizes that like this guy can compete with him physically wise, like he can deal damage, he can punch him and it would hurt. That's when I think Zelda would pull out the Ominous Nebula. Now, you already know how that's going to be. Ominous Nebula's going to turn on. He's going to take the stance and shit like that. Phoenix Man's going to get dragged in. Individuals with less durability than Phoenix Man haven't died from being hit by that. So I'm not saying that Phoenix Man's going to die off the bat or in his resurrected form from being hit by Ominous Nebula once or twice. Zeldris is going to have to physically go to him or bring him in more times consecutively to kill him. So let's entertain that possibility, right? Where, because Phoenix Man can't figure it out within the first 2 minutes, right? He gets dragged into the circle 5 times, and after the 5th time, he dies. Bam. Phoenix, a brilliance form. Here, he's gone through the Ominous Nebula a few times, so he's seen it, and he's going to be able to figure out what's going on to a certain extent, and he's going to know that what he has to do. The way that Ominous Nebula was beat in the series of 7 Deadly Sins was through brute force, straight brute force. The individual was strong enough to force himself into the ground and walk to it. So the gravitational effects are great, but as we mentioned, they don't bring in non-living objects. So you sticking your foot into the ground is going to help you stay there for quite a while, and that's what Escanor did. He uses immense strength to slam his foot into the ground, kind of like mud, and walk through the mud. That's what he was doing until he got into his the one form, and then he was able to just resist the overwhelming strength of that. Now, we're not under any assumption that like Escanor is weak or that Escanor's power isn't like tremendously strong. We've seen from both Galland and Escanor that they're able to cut mountaintops with single attacks. So these guys are pretty capable, pretty significant with their capabilities. So Phoenix Man stopping the giant fist strike, we'll put it somewhere near that tier. I'm not saying that Phoenix Man can take mountaintops off with a single attack. That's not the case whatsoever. But at the same time, whenever Escanor does attacks inside of that cave that we were in for the Big Six fight, the cave wasn't breaking. The cave wasn't like eviscerating or like flying apart. So we're not going to say that every attack that Escanor does is mountaintop destroying. That's not the case. That's not what was shown in this series. Here's a problem though. Once again, we're in that same scenario. Zeldris has as great swordsmanship as like Rudisil did. Zeldris has the ability to deal great damage. He has combat ability. He's more of a tank than Rudisil to a certain extent. How long can he avoid Phoenix Man? I'm gonna give this to Phoenix Man because this is starting to get like, this is crazy. Like Phoenix is really gonna take the tournament. Let me do a quick 1-minute vote to see what y'all niggas think. Let this blunt real fast too while we at it. Like this blunt, bro. Cause bruh, like y'all niggas don't even. It's like this is so hard because like these people that I'm talking like the two highest individuals when I first made the tournament were Zeldris and Rudisil. They are like top of the verse in Seven Deadly Sins. So like I was expecting them to win or at least to go to the end, and they did. But like I did not expect or think Phoenix Man was gonna make it this long. Like this entire tournament, I hope that you guys that like watch the One Punch Man podcast or read One Punch Man don't downplay what Child Emperor did. Like in actual war, in real world war, you read the Sun Tzu books, the Art of War, different things like that. You see him on movies, documentaries, whatever like that. Half of war is deception. No, 99% of war is deception. You don't attack, you don't defend, you don't ambush, you don't siege, you don't do anything without having surprise. Surprise is one of the principal factors of war in general. You want that. You need that. And to have your abilities masked, that's why in Bleach they put so much emphasis in like not showing your Bankai because you don't want them to know what your power is. They can figure it out. That is the case here. And for Child Emperor to figure out a power like this in a scenario like that, because it's not some shit where like Law, right? If you fight Law from One Piece, it's pretty difficult. If you don't know what his power is and you're stuck inside the room, it can get pretty crazy. But once you figure it out, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I can just do this to avoid it, or I can use my speed to get out of the room, or I can hit him first before he can use his powers or whatever. Something of that instance, right? Where you're using your physical capabilities to overwhelm him even inside the room. But with Phoenix Man, once you figure out his power, what the fuck do? You don't know if you have to take the suit off. All you do is figure out that, like, by killing him, he just comes back stronger. So what do? The only other option would be to knock him out and to, like, imprison him, but, like, you can't. He's just too strong for that. It's a paradox that it's required extreme intelligence to get out of it. And I kind of got upset whenever we were reading the chapters with the community because there were one or two guys that, like, were downplaying the fight. And even a small portion of the community was getting upset with it because we got one or two redraws for the chapter and it was a repetitive fight. They were just going back and forth, but that was some of the best drawn chapters. That was like one of the longest and best fights, which I love in One Punch Man, longer fights. And it was ingenious how he figured it out. And looking back at it, nobody's gonna do that. That's not gonna happen. You're not gonna figure out that you have to remove a suit from a guy that just can't die. So just explaining it like that and just telling myself it like that, I feel much better about this matchup because for all intents and purposes, Zeldris has fought or is capable of fighting people of a much, much higher level or offensive capability than what Phoenix Man shown up against Child Emperor. The Brilliance form, the Prominence form, the Phoenix Falcon form, all strong as fuck. But Zeldris has fought niggas that can do much, much more than that. It's just, when it comes down to it, all the characters in all these series do fall to attrition. Some can fight for days, some can fight for a long ass time, some produce attacks that make it to where you don't need to fight for that long. But at the end of the day, if those attacks that are catastrophic, destroying cities, it just make him stronger, there's not much you can really do without the intelligence to get past it. So I'm giving this one to Phoenix Man confidently. Alright. Last matchup before the finals. Harlequin versus Tarmiel. How do I put this? So King was at a point where he was below the four Archangels. And then his current form puts them on par, if not stronger than the majority of the characters in the series. King is super, super potent. He was able to fight an individual who got almost half of the Demon King's, almost 1/4 of the Demon King's power for himself, plus his own arc magic. And he was already one of the strongest people. It was a person who previously had the power of Escanor. As we mentioned before, Escanor's power is called Sunshine. It's a grace, one of the powers given to them by the supreme deity. So he had a power similar to like Tarmiel and Rudisell, as we previously mentioned. But Mael is an original. If you're on a reader of Seven Deadly Sins, then one piece of information that we've gotten for to show more of the human side of Escanor is that he is a human. And the power that was bestowed to him that he has, which is called Sunshine, isn't meant for a human. It isn't meant for somebody like that to wield it. But he's so powerful, so courageous, and worthy of the power that he's able to withstand it for so long. It's ruined his life emotionally. It's ruined his life through like the narrative. But Escanor is a great guy. And to be able to hold Sunshine for that long and to not see the super adverse effects from it for such a long time in his life It's pretty freaking amazing, man. But this guy Tarmio. So we're no longer talking about an argument to where that he can't be hurt anymore, like with Silver Fang Bang, because as we mentioned before, physical trauma can hurt Tarmio. It's just it has to be of a certain type. King has magic. He's known in particular for magic, so he is going to be able to hurt Tarmio. The problem is, Tarmio is still pretty fast, and he still has his own defensive capabilities. Like I said, with the 3 heads, he can do different attacks at the same time. He can use arc magic pretty effectively. He can make arc balls, arc blades, arc beams, and his power ocean also has one particular trait. Now, we've only seen it used by 2 of the archangels, so we're not sure if all the archangels can do this, but he can send you into a different dimension and fight you there. This dimension is full of water. It's basically a dimension of just an ocean. And that's pretty crazy. He can drown you. He can use that water for his offensive capabilities. So we're pretty much in a situation to where he can bring it to his home turf and then have all the weapons he needs. Now, the reason why this isn't just going to be the winning argument is because Tarmiel, Sariel, King, and we're not going to mention Diddy Yeti, but they weren't able to overwhelm another individual who King just straight on beat. And because all these things were in the same fight within the same group, it kind of makes it a lot easier to power scale than a direct confrontation, Direct confrontations, they often have like little scenarios or little caveats that make the fight difficult, This person wasn't at their full power. This person had a seal on them. This person had just gotten through a fight, quote unquote. Shit like that happens all the time in anime. For this particular situation, though, all of these individuals fought at the same time. On the contrary, it was King who stepped up into the fight to fight this individual we're talking about, Mael, an individual who had 4 commandments as well as the power of arc. Super strong character in the series of 7 Deadly Sins. Top of the verse, because of the character with that power set. And King took him on head on. He wasn't getting bodied either. It was it wasn't an overwhelming fight. King got defeated in a low diff confrontation, or excuse me, in a mid diff confrontation, but it was still medium difficulty for a guy with 4 commandments and the power of arc, who was already extremely powerful, had been fighting for hundreds of years even before that. So, how do I put this? King's arsenal, for a fact, is going to be able to deal with what Tarmio can produce. It's just, how long can Tarmio hold out is the question. So I think I'm going to give this one to confidently give this one to King. Oh man, that was a tough one right there. It wasn't as tough as the other ones, but like, you guys don't know. You guys got to read some of the sense if you don't do it. But like, these archangels are pretty fucking crazy, man. Like, to be able to send you to a different dimension to fight, flight, indomitable durability. Like, I don't even want to call it durability. Like, he got punched into a mold. Like, he looked like a fleshy mold of meat, and he just reformed himself, popped himself like a balloon, and reformed himself. Got cut in half, reformed himself like nothing. He's pretty fucking resilient. But Harlequin's arsenal was able to take down somebody who was much more resilient. And we're gonna give that to him for that. All right. So then we have here the final matchup: Phoenix Man versus King Harlequin. Fuck, man. This is gonna get to a repetitive situation, cause I just don't see it. Fuck, man. I don't mean to go to silence like this, but like, I think Phoenix Man might take the tournament, bro. So Harlequin's never figured anything out in battle, mid-battle. Harlequin's never like, I think Phoenix Man takes the tournament, bro. You just have to be able to figure out how to kill them, and they can't. They just can't. And then the bronze match appear. Zildjian's gonna take it. Wow. Fuck, man. Bro, tell me how a spider just like fucking slinked down literally right in front of me. Like, where the fuck you was at, bro? What the fuck? Look at that scary as shit, dog. Where the fuck these other spiders coming from, dog? I pretty much done it for the tournament. As we mentioned before, yeah, Phoenix Man over. Yeah, for a fact, bro. For a fact. This hacks is so weird and difficult to deal with. Like, I don't know if I put too much emphasis on the hacks, if like I made it unfair for other people to beat him or like whatever it may be, but like from what we've been shown and explained, you really just have to be smart enough to figure out how to deal with it. But I feel like I downplayed a lot of the 7 Deadly Sins characters. Because like I mentioned, they fight at a much higher level than average One Punch Man guys. Like, I put this. Even as high as Silver Fang Bang, even as high as Atomic Samurai. Atomic Samurai could do somewhat well, but he wouldn't. No, it's still not even competition. As high as we would have to be getting to like Tatsumaki. It's man. Tatsumaki's really like where we start to talk about like the archangels and the highest of the versus 7 Deadly Sins, and that's like, and that's a huge difference. We know the power gap between Tatsumaki and the majority of the people in the verse. So I don't feel too bad about this. It's just, man, this is kind of crazy that Phoenix Man took the whole tournament because of that. I wonder if we got rid of other people who could have beat him before, because I think Merlin was in here. Merlin could have done it. Merlin could have beaten Phoenix Man easy as fuck. But as far as the rest of these guys, there's not enough people who have intellectual accolades to say that. John Emperor himself got beat by Rudisil. He would have beat Phoenix Man. But yeah, damn, it was right next to each other too. Damn. If their matches would have been switched up or something, we could have had a different story. Damn, yeah. But either way, that's it for the Big 3 Anime Battle Royale tournament. We got a part 4 episodes of it. Make sure you hop into the Discord. The link will be in the description below. We talk about everything all the fucking time. One Punch Man, 7 Deadly Sins, One Piece, JoJo, all kinds of shit. So make sure you come through. Like I mentioned before, the One Punch Man podcast will be recorded today. So stay tuned for that tomorrow night. We'll have that out. I'm gonna try to get an announcement out. Because I know that we always do the funny ass announcements and shit. I haven't done one in like literally like 2 to 3 months. So I know niggas are missing out on that shit. 7 Deadly Sins, I already mentioned, released, so we'll see. Go get a chapter of that tomorrow or later on tonight. One Piece is coming out with some shit too. We'll see how boys done it all, man. We're gonna be adding JoJo as soon as we get to the heavy hitters for part 3. JoJo niggas get bodied, bro. JoJo niggas get bodied, bro. For real. Oh shit. Alright. Like, subscribe, guys. Like I said, we'll see you guys next time. And you already know, baby. Yo!